What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Empress Danny, back with another episode of The Daily Grind. You already know I stay pouring you up a nice hot cup of joe. My intent is to get your day off to a bright and beautiful start. Let's check in and get today's messages. Be sure to hit that follow button, right? Tap that plus sign, give the channel a follow. Make sure that you share this channel with your friends and that you're also subscribed. You can also check me out for more of my own personal content at Empress Danny here on TikTok. The YouTube channel is available. I want to say linked in the bio as well, right? Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Let's check in. Let's get today's messages. It looks like an overarching or general energy associated here with the Queen of Diamonds. This is a queen that most people know and love. For some of you, this can indicate relatives could be significant today. This is also a person that is usually a valuable resource. So it's a person that people want to have their energy around. You may find that you're in a position where people are gravitating towards you. There's a connectedness. People value your energy. This is also an excellent energy for business. This is a queen that when it comes to commitment, people know that she's loyal. I know that you're faithful. I know that I can trust you. So if you're taking on this quality today, then you may find that the point of attraction is real as it pertains to people being attracted to you. Maybe some of you are in a position where you get the bag, right? And if you get the bag, this could be that maybe you're known for getting the bag, and this can be in any given area, right? This can be that you're talented or you're gifted at doing something in particular. And so when it comes to people knowing like you got the juice or you got the tea or whatever this is that you're good at, I feel people could certainly be very drawn to you today. I also get this energy where some of you may even find that people are expressing that to you. They're sharing that with you, and they're telling you like you mean so much to me, or you're so talented, or I appreciate having you around. Let's dig a little bit deeper because something this is an energy that is so valuable that it gives others the confidence to perhaps show up and maybe honor some of those same qualities, some of those same characteristics it is that I feel like you have demonstrated. So you could find today that people are mirroring you in the same confidence perhaps that you exude or that you show in the way that I get this energy of like you put your money where your mouth is, but the same way that you put your money where your mouth is could certainly have others in a position where it gives them the confidence perhaps to do the same dang on thing. I just heard, or sit down and shut up, right? Thank you guys for being here. Please go ahead and share my live for those of you who are here. Don't be afraid to come in the room. Come on in, y'all. Come on in, have a seat, make yourself right at home. I'm just going to share with some of my friends. Um, and let's continue forward. I do feel a heavy energy of messages today. There was a lot that came up in meditation for me with regards to people having been through some things. And this is kind of like, I can't lie. There's a little bit of a like, I told you this is why you keep going through this because I get an energy of perpetuated behaviors. And I was kind of getting like someone who is it's almost like they drink, I just heard, and then they pass out. This is kind of like that. It's almost like something keeps happening. I don't know. I was also picking up someone in my meditation, like vomiting. But it's like this is why this keeps happening in a given circumstance. And someone, it's almost like a realization of who or what is perpetuating the issue. If there's any instance, if you will, of blame, it feels as though that's realized. And today could be like taking a good hard look in the mirror. The cologne Paco Rabanne could be significant today. There could be something about that. I also was getting in meditation, there's a verse in the book of Matthew that came up. I want to say Matthew 18:21. Don't call me on that, right? I could be mistaken, but in the book of Matthew, it talks about how and this was really big. I want to say a couple years ago, because Disney had, I want to say, purchased. the copyright to some specific version of the Bible. And in it, I want to say they removed this verse, right, without really giving any rhyme or reason as to why they removed it. But the verse says that some demons are only exorcised by fasting and praying. And in meditation, when that came up, a lot of times we look at these things that are scriptural as being oh so deep, right? But in many cases, there are actually very literal translations that are actually very simple when we take time to meditate and to contemplate. And so fasting, right? It's like, oh, let me push back my plate, right? I'm going to, 21-day Daniel fast. That's not always the case. Sometimes a fast is simply taking a break, right? It can be separation, right? Space and time, if you will. And then prayer being simply a willingness to reflect, right? And again, it kind of giving like, if I have an issue, then some demons, some problems or issues that it is that I have, those are only exercised, those are only worked out, those are only no longer issues or problems because of the fact that I was willing to what could be like take a break. I was willing to abstain and to reflect on my own behaviors, on the situation, on a person. Sometimes it's things in life, right? When it's a demon, it's something that takes away from our energy, right? It can be this is eating at me, this is really bothering me. Sometimes the only thing that addresses whatever that annoyance is to be able to take space, to take a break. And then it'll show you where the issue lies, right? Is the issue in me? Is the problem me, right? Is the issue, in some aspect of the situation? And I feel the song that I hear that I'm channeling is Mariah Carey "Hero" could be significant. And so this could be a realization of your own ability, or perhaps this is someone else coming in that is a hero. They're saving you, or this is saving you. Sometimes it's like, why don't I do this? There are things in life that you would like to do or that you would like to see. It's almost like I want growth in a certain area. I want this relationship to be much more, right? Maybe I want longevity, right? I want my business to last a long time. Well, it gives to let me pause and reflect. So some of you, it's really that simple. In whatever circumstance it is that you may be dealing with, if it's taking away from your energy, then spirit may be saying, why don't you take some space, right? Why don't you have a period of separation? Why don't you take an opportunity to reflect in that what it is, if your intention is to identify where in the issue the problem lies, what perhaps the need is, perhaps maybe it is what someone wants, right? Where the separation is, where maybe the connection is not being made, then that will be realized through whatever that space or time. So I feel like that could be at play today in some situation, scenario. It looks like the top of the day brings in love, right? As I hear Keisha Cole, right? This is transformation that I do feel like some of you, this could certainly be with your hearing, right? Your listening ear. This could also have to do with conversation, right? Changing. It's interesting, when the conversation changes, sometimes you don't know the way that you have a means of being able to change the topic of conversation. It's almost this energy of like change the channel, what it is that you're maybe tapping into, the things it is that you are maybe kind of like picking up on. Sometimes this comes and it gives like, if you are, um, this gives like, I want to say I saw a guy that was talking about his podcast, and he mentioned on the podcast he had a person who used to be a witch on his podcast. And I now anymore, there's so much in the title witch, right? You get people who they don't understand, maybe it is kind of like what a person does or where they come from, so they call them a witch. They, so I don't get hung up on the terminology so much. But he remarks to speaking to a witch, and the witch told him that the number one form of witchcraft is gossip. And I was actually appreciative of hearing that, because I think so often, and this is obviously part of this business, so often people talk about um, witchcraft in terms of like, workings. Oh, because I see somebody light a candle or an incense, or oh, they're saging. A lot of times you will find people will make references to things like this, and they will easily see that as witchcraft, the spirit of manipulation. But the reality is that the first witchery, the first spell work, the first working that's ever done is with our words, with the things that we say. And so I was grateful to hear him speak on how gossip is a form of witchcraft that can be used. And so it brings you to a place that says, be careful what it is that you are saying about people. What he said the witch was saying is that what they used to do is they would talk about people, and they could take a person and shame their name, or say things about them, and it would manipulate others' perspective or point of view of that person. And so when you see that as a form of witchcraft, a lot of times people don't. It really gives to, watch your mouth when you are saying things about people. And it's not about context, right? Sometimes the things that you say about a person are true. But it really gives up, like you think about rag mags, gossip circles, tabloids, things of that nature. When I talk about the news is a form of witchcraft, it certainly is, because those things that are distributed, especially in mass, can be very hurtful, can be very damaging. And if we're not mindful of the unique ways in which perhaps we use our craft to be able to condemn others, then we will experience changes in our life that perhaps position us to experience much the same. So um, thank you. Let's continue on. I know it may seem that way, love, but there are always people who are watching that don't enter the room. So thank you for being here. The daily grind is used. It's done using Oracle messages. Okay, and then usually I'll do an extended message, and that likely will be on my other channel, Empress Danny. So hopefully you will join me there. Those of you who are watching, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and for the love taps. For the follows. And I usually do have all replays and extended messages available on the Patreon channel. So please feel free to check that out. It does feel as though things are lightening. This could even be like your spiritual ear is becoming more inclined. And I feel the top of the day has to do with like the heart, where when it comes to it's almost like getting the message. There was a verse where Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So I feel this energy where this could certainly be the conversations changing. You're getting the message, perhaps, that someone is not trying to burden you, right? I'm just trying to show you love. I only have a different way of going about doing that. So some of you may be mindful of that. And I get this energy of like, it may make your heart feel better. I do get, like, for some of you, this could be messages, things of that nature. I also get an energy, like I said, if you're showing up in a way that is very attractive to others, or again, this could certainly be like you're very talented to others or gifted to others, you're a valuable resource to others, then it feels as though there's a desire perhaps to let you know, to perhaps lighten your load in some way. And this is what we have coming in midday. So midday, there's what feels like a demonstration or showing of consistency. This could be regularity. It could also be a commitment. That's what the elk usually gives for me. This is steadfast. It's stable or steady love. It's consistency. And this feels like, for some of you, because this is coming up in what feels like a position or a place of stillness, then commitment is being demonstrated. And some of you, this is you. I kind of get the energy where there could be a gravitation or a pull or a magnetism towards you, because in reflection, perhaps this has to do with, maybe it is people that you have space from, people that you have time away from, people maybe that you've been praying about, or circumstances and situations that you have been contemplative regarding. These could be coming up in some way, form, or fashion, and in reflection, in meditation, in the stillness. There's also a realization of what could be like, you've been faithful, you've been loyal, you've been consistent, you've been what could be like a valuable resource. I just heard you show me nothing but love. And I feel that because the hawk brings usually an energy in that is official, that makes that clear, that makes that known. That's like, I know that, like, it is the energy of beyond the shadow of a doubt. Like, that's the resounding message. So I feel that maybe coming in today, and it's almost like reflect, give pause, if you will. And then it looks like air at the top of the day, earth midday, and then this leads into water at the end of the day. And I do feel like perhaps the end of the day brings about some form of choice, right? Tarantula energy typically indicates that of some form of a crossroads, choosing of direction, right? An intersection point, which can indicate, am I going to go back to what could be like that same way of thinking? Am I going to go back to that old way of being? Or am I going to allow for what could be an easier transition, right? Am I going to stop thinking like that? Am I going to stop seeing things that way? Or am I going to accept perhaps what could be like a lighter load and easier, what could be like conversation, a thought pattern or process that's much more simplified. I don't know why it gives like there could be like some significance around complexities, but it's like this doesn't have to be as difficult. Whatever this is, I feel is much easier. And then it feels like this has to do with a decision to go with the flow. And if the flow of energy or the current of energy is moving in a certain direction, I do feel like by the end of the day, you'll be seeing signs. Then it'll be on you as to whether or not you move in that direction. Okay. So I do feel the energy where it's a decision. It feels like to make some sort of movement, right? To, again, go some sort of direction, to make some sort of change. To do something. And I will say it requires will, which means that you have to want to go that direction. You have to feel led. And I do get like something about the flow of energy in a certain direction is going to make you feel led. But if you think about it, you still have to assert your will. So this feels like you still have to choose. This is like, if you need to change, you don't have to, nobody's going to force you to change, but it's almost like if you sense the flow of energy moving in a certain direction, and your will is perhaps, maybe it is kind of like to go the direction where it could be like where things are a bit simpler, things are easier, or some sort of direction is less complex, then this feels like perhaps the flow of energy goes in the direction where that is a no-brainer to some degree. But these are your daily grind messages. From here, I go to Spotify. And on Spotify, like I said, check out Empress Danny. It has all the links, and I'll have to update them here on this channel. But I go to Spotify and I do a brief message. And the brief is usually about 5 to 7 minutes long. Following the brief, that's when I go over to back to Empress Danny channel, and I will do extended messages using the tarot, and we'll get a deeper dive in the check-in. So I'll be on Empress Danny here in about 15 minutes. But you're welcome to check out the Spotify, the Patreon, as you will. So I hope you guys have a great day ahead. You're a manager. Hold on, let me check this out. I'm a manager for my tribe. My father passed, and I was getting attacked and stopped practicing. I'm waking again every night at 334. Who is it? Oh, welcome in, Locahantes. I love that you are sharing your story. Diva, has Thamo been telling people a false story on what happened between us? Are those tarot oracles? Sorry, I'm just catching up on messages because while I'm going through, I usually don't pay attention to the comments so that I can just focus on channeling and any messages that I receive otherwise. But I will speak to some of those things that you are mentioning. This is what I will say. A lot of times when we undergo attacks, or what perhaps are perceived as such, these are when someone dies, something takes place in the spirit realm within us, right? A connection that we were made, or a point of connection that we have made to a person, it also transforms or metamorphoses. And when that point of contact or connection changes, A lot of times what happens, just like with the grieving process, our frequency or vibrational point of alignment then dips, right? That's what a frequency is. So this is normal, it's to be expected. You know, a frequency is a wavelength, it goes up and down regardless. So when you think of this, even when we're not necessarily grieving, our emotional body, what creates that wave or that frequency is always going up and down. What our role is and what alignment does is supports our ability to stabilize that, right? So the ups are not like, you know, we're not, it's almost like a heart, you know, if you think about like a heart monitor, right? I don't want whatever that heart monitor is, I don't want it to, you know, to be all over the place, if you will. I want it to be stable, right? And so I want what is like a pace or a rhythm that doesn't put my body out of alignment. When someone passes away and we are grieving, because of the fact that that energy is going to dip, because it has literally, we have an aspect of our frequency that has died, it pulls on the remaining frequency. And so what happens is, through the grieving process, we are working to get that frequency back up and also to reestablish what that looks like. Because that person that was involved or a part of our energy is no longer there in order for us to achieve the same frequency. So that's where we seek, a lot of times we look to substance, we will look to other people, we will look to other situations to be able to energetically support our ability to re-achieve that particular frequency. If that doesn't happen, a lot of times it dips even lower, right? We get disappointed, right? We get upset. You know, why am I still not reaching this frequency? And it's all a part of re-achieving alignment. So when you're talking about being in a position where you're waking up at 334, it's less about a person, it's more about integration. So don't look at the attacks as being that. Look at the attacks as you wanting to re-achieve that frequency, but what could be failures in achieving that vibrational point of alignment and it causing your energy to dip back down. Every time your energy dips down, it makes you more susceptible to what could be things that are perceived as attack. Every time you bounce back from that, you become stronger at maintaining or holding that vibrational point of alignment that says, I won't go back. I can't stay depressed. I can't stay mad. I can't stay upset. I can't stay frustrated. I can't continue to live in whatever this is, perhaps that's making me ashamed. And what you do is you begin to rise or elevate from it again. It strengthens you. It empowers you. And through becoming empowered at that point, then that is when, if that's the road that you were called to, right? If you're a spiritual leader and that's something that you were into, that's something that you're meant to do, on the other side, it empowers you, it makes you stronger, and you return then to that vibrational point of alignment, or higher or perhaps lesser, but it redirects you, you recenter on the path. And you can choose, right, not to go that direction anymore. You see that often. A lot of people will say, I don't, you know, they will maybe look at what path it is that they were on and they would say, oh my God, I never want to go that direction again. Perhaps because of what the experience has traumatized them. But you will find others will recognize, no, I know that this is my path that came to strengthen my vibrational point of alignment, so that when it comes to going this path, nothing can knock me off my square. I'll be better at what I do. I'll be stronger, if you will, when it comes to my cadence, when it comes to my rhythm, whatever that is, I'm to the beat, right? Nothing can knock me off. So I feel that today perhaps there's something at play, and that may be what you're realizing or coming into the awareness of, is the fact that your energy is building, your energy is growing, you're strengthening your frequency, your vibrational point of alignment, you're getting your wavelength back, you're aware perhaps that the connection to those who have passed away did not end entirely, it's simply metamorphosis. And while they may not be here in physical, you may be connecting in the spirit realm in such a way that you have acclimated in what feels like alchemized the fact that maybe in physical they're gone, but found that same strength or comfort in what it is that they offered you in physical, in some aspect of the spiritual. So I hope that that answers your question. Thank you guys for being here for the Daily Grind. I'm going to Spotify to do our brief messages. Make sure that you guys follow the channel, and we'll check in again. If you haven't joined me on Empress Danny, my other channel, I'll be there in about 15 minutes and we'll do an extended for these daily messages.